So welcome everybody to this today's session. Today's conversation will be about ARIS dashboarding, how to get the most out of your data in ARIS from the work which you have already done within ARIS. We talk about this, of course, a lot with our clients, and we just want to tell you how to leverage dashboards in a way that they are powerful for you and support you lowering the barrier for accessing your data. In this demo, I will give you some insights about the out-of-the-box content and about some tips how you create your dashboards, how to sharpen your use case. I go a little bit through the standard dashboards, how to configure them, and I will showcase you a dashboard we have already created. So I will show you the recreation of a customer dashboard from which we were implementing on the request of a customer. So why this is important for you? So if we have a look at your data ecosystem, then you have, of course, hopefully in the center, your ARIS repository with all the content you have already captured. So you have your business processes, your data, your model, your objects, your attributes, your connections, your assignments. But you have also maybe additional data like customer experience data. So how your customer sees your processes. You're measuring maybe your net promoter score to help you understand the quality of your processes. And you have, of course, some operational excellence changes for your processes, your governance data. You may be using risk and compliance manager. You have, of course, maybe enterprise architecture data. This is all managed via ARIS. And then we have these external systems. And the external systems are really the things. How can you use the existing data of your existing applications in your environment to drive better decision, how to get it into ARIS, how to create a use case which helps you to find all the information at the right place in the right time, with how to make it interactive. For instance, just struggling with the animation, how to get them interactive, so that, of course, for certain models, certain dashboards are shown. Yeah. And also, how can you tailor it to your needs, that you are showing the KPIs to the specific stakeholders? The first tip would be only show the amount of data for the stakeholder they need to see. So be sure that you make your dashboard context sensitive. Let's see. So we can connect, of course, to a lot of data. Of course, everything you have modeled or managed or already in your ARIS repository, you can use as an input for a dashboard. But you can also use the data of your process governance, how you have changed your data, how you are managing your data. As I said, also risk management, and also how are your actual processes really executed. So you're thinking with process management, you're managing your processes, and maybe you want to get the gap between the executed process to the managed process, and this will be covered with process mining. To all other systems outside of ARIS, we can also use them in means of, I think there is a little bit more, sorry. We can also integrate all structured and unstructured data sources, so CSV files, Excel files, XML files, but also JSON files, web services, or via JDBC, some relational database. Of course, we will help you by building your own dashboards. Why and how to gather them, prepare the data and measure up to create new dashboards, and then how to make for you a valuable outcome. So first want to talk about the content, because when you are an ARIS customer, you have already a lot of out-of-the-box use cases inside ARIS, which you are maybe not aware. I want to show them. So I mean, really dashboards, data feeds, and also reports for fetching the data out of your ARIS repository. They just need to be configured and they are running in your environment. And the last thing I want to talk is context. So if to say it very plain, data may be king, but you have to put it into the right context. Without the context, it's just data. So these are all the things that you can give the right information for all levels of business at the right time. let's see what's on the next slide. So these are some of the out-of-the-box dashboards, and I think we don't have the time that I go through all of them, but I just want to mention them and maybe also showcase some customer questions I had when we installed or configured it or tailored it to the customer needs. All things I'm saying today in this webinar, you can also find in our free trainings. So we are offering free trainings for dashboarding, and we have the link here, and also for reports and queries, which I will show you how to feed the dashboards you can find in the Software AG ARIS Model Essential training. And a good hint, it's always a good hint, is you can an overview of all out-of-the-box dashboards, data feeds, and reports, and how to configure them in the ARIS help, which is there if you're an ARIS customer. So I have chosen these 6 out-of-the-box dashboards for this today webinar session. The first one is the Center of Excellence dashboard, which just provides you an analytic insights on the performance of a center within an organization. It gives you lots of key metrics related to your project success, resource utilization. You will get a live overview about your knowledge sharing and best practices. And I think we will just have a look in a live system. Alba, can you please maybe just tell me if you're seeing the ARIS portal right now? Alba? Okay. Can somebody in the chat please confirm it that you're now seeing the ARIS portal, please? Thank you. So as I told you, there are some out-of-the-box dashboards. Some of them are currently configured in my environment, which I'm using for today's presentation. So normally you would see an overview of the top 7 models with assigned change requests, model owners with assigned change requests, or something like the shared models, followed models, most commented models, all things where you may think, how is my repository and my content, which I propose to my colleagues, how is it perceived, received, and how is it used? Second one would be the process change management, where it's just simply showing you how many change requests you had in the last time, how many owners you have, and what's the status. And I think we have an additional one. And additional to this, you can have also an analysis, how long does the human task last? So if you're raising a change request, or if you request an approval, how to which process owner it's headed, and how long, what status it is, and how long did the task needs to be fulfilled. And when I'm talking to customers, I get a lot of very common questions, which I want to share with you, and which are the typical answers. So the first one is, okay, is this only working for the out of the box governance process, which we bring to you with ARIS Connect? And the answer is no. This dashboard is fed by a report, which is called COE governance. And this report is using parameters. And with the parameters, you can give the ID of your customer's workflow. So if you have a customer's workflow in place, you can just use this dashboard, configure this report, just put in the ID, and the report is running without customization. Second question would normally be, we are not using the owner name. We have roles in place. Is it also possible to showcase the role instead? And yes, this is of course possible. If this data is part of your governance workflow and you want to showcase something, you just need to pick this column and put it on the dashboard, and it's available. This was done by minor changes, most often done by the customer itself. Third kind of question would be, we want to mash up and filter additional data, which we have customized in our ARIS environment. And this is a report which is mostly not known, because if we are going to the architect, let's see, then you would find, where is it? A report category for dashboarding, and here you find all the dashboards, and this is also mentioned in the help. So if you're going to the help, go for this for the search for the section use dashboards, you get the hint of the dashboard, of the use data feed, of the report, and how to configure it. And so you see all for the Center of Excellence dashboards, they are all starting with this abbreviation COE. And here, this little one export item data to table is one secret gem within ARIS.
Monica, can you hear me?
Yes.
Maybe you can zoom in a bit, please.
In the Architect, I cannot zoom, but I
Oh.
don't want to show something. I just want to open it.
Well.
I'm just opening this here that you can see that this is a standard report, and I just read now what's on the description because it's not readable, I've heard. So this report works based on parameters. These parameters are related to the current configuration in ARIS. You first specify the items and then the item properties. So if I go here and I click on edit report parameters, I can here just create that kind of content I want to extract. So from out of the box, you can just choose the kind of item you want to use. Yeah. So if it's an activity, if it's a value chain, if it's a process, and then you just select the attributes you want to have. And then if you go on OK and you run this on your database, automatically the report fetches all the data you have defined and puts this in the ARIS document storage, and this can be used as an input for a dashboard. So we did this for the customer, but just remember, without any implementation, we just configured an existing report, meshed it up in the data feed, and could use this data to filter the existing dashboard. So this was also not a very highly customization, but you should have known the report to do this. And what was this? Yeah, and then in the and then the fourth one was the cure sozusagen. So we have built a very generic dashboard, and the customer wanted just to tailor it to their needs. So they wanted to be firstly context sensitive. So they wanted to publish this dashboard on every process model and filtered on the process model they are currently looking at. They only wanted to see the open governance workflows with the open human tasks. And this was then, we reused the dashboard, put in some filtering, created a dashboard template. So this dashboard could be used for any process and any model type. Yeah, and so it was just a reuse. We could reuse the data feed because this was the same like the first steps before, and we just built an additional dashboard of the existing database data feed. The next use case, if you're using risk management, then dashboards are everywhere. I don't know if you're currently using it, but for EKS, for internal control system, for risk management, for auditing, we are serving also a lot of dashboards. And as you can see here, we only we see a risk heat max, risk heat metrics where you see certain risks and some details. And the customer needs was, yeah, customer liked it where we presented it, and they just told me, yeah, this is great, but we don't want to click so much in the tool. We only want a navigation from this list of risks to the fact sheet of the risk. You see, I'm still in ARIS Connect, but I can jump from a table with a certain entry to the object of the risk, and there I have placed one dashboard which listing all controls, a list of all controls which were already performed on time or not, and all controls which were planned. And here on the link, the person could directly jump to the control execution. And this was already also tailored to the user. So if you were logged in as a control executor, you only saw the control execution part and could directly jump and only saw your controls you have to execute. Just do the control execution, close, and you are done. If you were a manager, you could see all the lists which are still open and have and could review. And so we could really speed up the time of the customers just to find the right content for the right person, just to help them to be a little bit faster and be best in their job. And this was also a dashboard which was implemented on customer needs, which finally then was already in another way placed into the product. So after the customer implementation, product management decided to put this also in the product. Another nice example we did at the customer side was, of course, data. Data warehouses are there for 30 years. You don't have to have a process mining tool in place. Some customers have for sure business intelligence tools. This was a very interesting use case because the customer used a data warehouse tool which was called MicroStrategy, and they really had a bunch of process-related KPIs. So they had really everything in MicroStrategy, and the use case was they wanted to manage the publishment of the existing KPIs via ARIS. So we discussed, of course, a lot about how to fetch the data, because there was more than one possibility, from the connecting via GDBC to the relational database, or for running reports out of the data warehouse tool, or something. And it was like always, the data owner of the data warehouse didn't like us to connect to their existing database, so they extracted with their reports and pushed their data into our ARIS document storage, where we could just publish the data, but, and this is the big but, we put a management inside with a matrix model where a person who is in charge could manage, okay, these 3 KPIs should be visible for this process, and these 7 KPIs should be visible on this process. So the management, when a KPI should be placed, was done by ARIS, and ARIS reused data of an existing system. And so every people, we leverage the audience for ARIS, because all of the process owner who are managing the process could really see the live data of the executed process. It was not process mining. This is a pity, but it was at least real life data from a business intelligence tool, side by side, context sensitive, in ARIS. Another example we did was that we, as ARIS, also have the capability to run risk simulations, that the customer wanted to have a dashboard where they can, this is in German, I have to translate, I'm sorry, the operational risk aggregation dashboard, where you can see the aggregated damage, in the simulated aggregated damage, the reduced damage, and then the mitigated damage, and also combined with, you could choose your distribution you wanted to see, I'm sorry, and then you could just see the distribution over different simulation runs, all side by side, context sensitive to your risks, which you have already managed and fetched in ARIS. Of course, I'm working in the Center of Excellence for ARIS process mining. Of course, if you have a process mining tool and if you have ARIS process mining, you can also overlay the executed data to your managed process. So if you just want to know how is in ARIS you manage how your process should be performed, and with process mining you can get a real life status how your process performs, to easily find the main problems of your selected process, see the different variations, and see the compliance errors you have. So I just took one screenshot because this is an ARIS aware session, but red is always bad. Blue means that you are in a variant execution like you think you have managed. You see here different variants. So your process is, of course, executed in more than one way. So I think normally they are 5,000 or something. And everything is red is something you are not aware of. And if you're not aware of, then of course the process is not executed very performant, and you will get troubles in your execution with your customers, whatever. So the process mining is always the tool to find, to understand what is working well in my in my company by using the variant analyst, and also what are roadblocks and issues you need to remove. And only with ARIS, you can use these process mining insights for process transformation, to optimize your process, to roll out your process, and then to measure again. To conclude it, before I go to the live demo creation, is so the 4 most wanted data sources I used in the last 10 years was existing reports. So I really love our reports. There are lots, and you find the whole list in the help, which is in the link I gave you in the presentation. The one, if you want to add existing data, is really export data to table. This is my most wanted, most favored report. We have, of course, APIs for ARIS. We have an API for ARIS itself, for the repository, for the document storage, and for the RCM, for the risk and compliance manager. Also there, you just click and just go to the website, click on, I want to have the data of my risk assessment filtered by my process owner. You get a link, you can copy this to your dashboard, and the data is there. And only the data you are, because it's risk and compliance, only the data where you have access to. This is also very powerful. So you see, you can build a dashboard which automatically shows the user only the data where they have access to. Then, of course, process mining, find compliance issues, root causes, and of course, use mining insights for process improvements. And the last thing I want to showcase live in this session will be the ARIS queries. So ARIS queries are ad hoc queries. They are just powerful way to analyze, maintain your repository data. So all your models, all your objects, all your connections, all your assignments, which you have built in, and you can use, you can use this data also for dashboards. This is the dashboard we hopefully will build today. This is a part of a customer who wants to build a business impact analysis. I have decreased a little bit the scope that we are able to build this live, but the use case was just an overview of a process landscape, and he wanted to analyze the maturity and the criticality of his process. And as if I say processes, it's of course a live dashboard. It's context sensitive. We will see in a minute what this means, and you will see a lot of funny, nice looking dashboards besides. Last reminder: everything I'll show you today, reports, queries, dashboarding, if it was too fast, too much, just have a look at the trainings. There are good explanation, and take a quick look in the online help. And also, I think our consulting team is there to support you and help you. Let's see how to build dashboards. Yay. So there are always 4 steps how to build a dashboard, yeah? And it's an easy process. So first of all, and this is the step 0, which is not on the slide, is think of the use case you want to build. It should be an ARIS related use case. What do I mean with ARIS related? It should something have to do with processes, with risks, with organizations, or whatever, where you think this would be a benefit if you put this data into ARIS. Yeah. So the first thing would be acquire the data source. I think we have already seen that we have to choose if it's an internal or an external system, and that we have means of querying data using reports, query spreadsheets, or live sources like process or task mining, or just extracts like Excel, XML, CSV, and GDBC. Just think if in your use case you have a system already in mind, a BI tool or an ERP tool or a learning system, whatever you want to use. Second step would be mesh up the data. So connect several sources and mesh up the data together, which you would need for your dashboard. Third step would be you have to build your dashboard. So you will do this in the dashboard editor. You will build some bar charts, pie charts, some tables, make it as generic as possible for certain types, or you can also make it just available for specific models if you want. And then connect to content for consummation. Yeah. So assign the dashboard to the ARIS content, define the position where you want to see the dashboard on a model level, on the overview tab, on the diagram tab, on the dashboard tab, or maybe on the home screen, or I don't know, just define it. You can do this via the ARIS self-service configuration. And just this is, you tailor this with the access rights that only the people who need to see the data and drive better decisions. First, I will show you the dashboard live. I think I should stop the presentation. So just checking on the second screen if I'm already presenting. Yes. So this is the dashboard we created together with the customer, and the customer question was very easy. So they have, of course, some kind of attributes already in their landscape. They have some a criticality here low, and they have a process maturity, and they have the process owner. I don't see here. Okay, but they have the process owner. Let's see. Yeah. And of course, what they normally can do is just place attributes. So if you want to place attributes, you can just go to the ARIS Connect Designer, pick an attribute, and just place it to the function, to the object you want. You can also, of course, highlight things using the highlight functionality of ARIS. But what we did was really just, okay, we made it a little bit fancy because this was a commercial presentation. So we made it a little bit interactive. So this is the name of the logged in user with some information about the database. You see here is the dashboard webinar and also the time and the date. We also aggregated all process maturity attributes which are on the landscape, and for the customer also the layers below. And we built in some filtering, like that he could filter on certain process owners or filter on the criticality. Alba, criticality. Yeah, danke. And of course, this is nice, this is good, and you believe me that these functions are there. But when I talk about context sensitive, and I love to talk about context sensitive, you can also filter by clicking here. Remember, I just put one attribute here, Ethan owner, but I created the dashboard so that this selection here can filter all the KPIs you have put there. And I can also see, okay, the function customer service has the Ethan owner, it's critical, but the process maturity is 5. This is good, so it's green. So nothing to do. And this was the first thing. So logistics is also Ethan owner, is very critical. Oh, only 3. Okay. We can, of course, also reset the filtering. If you don't select something, then all the data of the model or behind is taken in account. So I think this is really a very, very strong capability. And I really haven't seen this in another tool right now. And I have a look at lots of business intelligence tools and dashboarding tools. And also the second thing, why it's context sensitive, just to reset the filter, I can also, because I'm using a query, I can drill down. So I'm using existing functionality you have already done an assignment, and I'm just drilling down to production and just see, wait, 1, 2, 3. Now this dashboard is only taking the data from here, and I can filter again. Hopefully I find something. Okay, there is nothing. There's also nothing. But here we have something. Yoo-hoo! And you can do this as long as you want. As long as data is there, it will be shown. But it's one dashboard. One dashboard with 2 out-of-the-box features. Make it context sensitive and make it selectable, and use the process hierarchy you already have implemented within your ARIS repository. So just go back. This was the one thing I wanted to show. And of course, you can do a lot of widgets and you can filter, reset. The other thing was they wanted to filter on all critical things. And they asked me, can we jump to some certain fact sheets? Of course, we can. We can use this, do this via the normal functionality. But just for this to showcase, you can jump to every point you want. So if here it's critical and it's all Ethan owner, and I want to inform Ethan owner, I can just create an action which is called inform person, and you're jumping to the collaboration if you want. This is just an example, but you can jump to any content you want which is available within ARIS. So you can jump to another model. You can jump to a fact sheet of an object. You can jump to another dashboard. You can jump to another tab. You can really define the navigation you want to for a certain use case. So first think of the use case, think of the data, think of the context, and think of your navigation. And you can tailor it to your need, that the person who needs some kind of data for certain use cases can do with the least amounts of clicks. So, and I don't know if you believe me, but this dashboard is only with one query. I reduced the amount of the query for the webinar, but let's see. So also queries are a powerful way just to fetch the data which are already available. And it's normally starting with a starting point. So I decided to start. Alba, you're telling me nobody can read this, yes? Is there a possibility to? Is this better?
This is a bit better. Yes. No,
okay. So then I maybe talk a little bit more and show a little bit less. Yeah. So this is a very easy query because I'm just defining. I start with a value-added chain diagram, which is the model type for a process landscape, and I tell the query, okay, my process landscape contains a lot of functions. And for navigation, because I want to jump somewhere, I also want the assigned model, because this is what I'm using when I want to click on a model to get somewhere. Yeah. And as you can see below, here you have already, I think this cannot be read. You can see here a visual representation of the result. And I'm a little bit shocked how small this is, because you just have to believe me now that you just take something here, drag it here, and then you have it here, you know. So you can just take the object you need, put it into a spreadsheet, define your attributes, and then it would look like something like this. But I cannot make this bigger, or no, this I cannot make bigger. And then I can just go on results, recalculate, and you see all the data which I have. And all the things you have to do to use this in a dashboard is you mark it, and you generate a dashboard link. Yeah, I have not saved, I know. Put it into a clipboard. Go back into the portal where we all can see a lot more, hopefully. And go into the repository, to dashboards and feeds, enter a new dashboard. Click on show all, and paste it here. I'm not a fan of absolute paths, so I'm removing this. I'm using the URL alias, which is already there. I click on calculate and I get an error message because I haven't given the system a database and a start point. Maybe you remember a query is always related to a database and to a starting point. So the database would be United Motor Group, and I think the starting point I can copy from my query. So start item ID is the GUID of my query. Database is United Motor Group. Run again. And I have my data here ready to use. So I think queries are really a strong way to utilize data which are existing. I want to go back to the dashboard, which I have lost. Okay. Let's see, because there is another way to, if you have already a dashboard in place, like me, and maybe also like me, you have forgotten the name, or you haven't tagged it precisely that you're not finding it. You have always the possibility to only show the dashboard if you want to have more space. this is in addition to the dashboard tab. So in the dashboard tab, you can put in as much dashboards as you want. So there is no limitation in how many dashboards you can place there, and you can give their access rights that only certain people see certain dashboards. But for our thing, I just wanted to show it like here. And you can also jump to the data to dashboard editor if you type in edit between mesh and view, and then you are also there where you want to change something. So I'm here in the edit mode of the dashboard editor. I'm going here. As you see, I have prepared the data feed dashboard webinar. And as you can see, first step is that I'm taking a query, which we have already also done. The only difference between my query I created and the query I already created is that I used so-called ARIS parameters here. And this is also a very, very nice thing. So we offer you 4 parameters for the tenant, for the database. This is very important that you using then the parameters for that, because if you want to migrate the dashboard from your test environment to your production environment, it will be instantly working because it's taking the tenant of the session of your server. And also this is seems to be language reactive. So if the customer is changing the portal language, it's maybe German, English, French, whatever you have managed. And what do we also have here? Second was also the context GUI and the selection GUI are the 2 parameters where we can build the dashboard, where we can make the dashboards context sensitive. So the dashboard knows always its context. And also the selection GUID is the GUID when you put a selection. So this is how we could filter on the dashboard by clicking on the model. We have also, I think, a lot of system variables. So this was this welcome administrator. Today is the, I don't know, May, you logged in. And we have, of course, also the possibility to use user input. So if you want on the fly a filtering, not by predefined filters, but by ad hoc filters, which a user can define, then you can use user inputs. I think I haven't done much because I just added a number because I wanted to count something. And I have put in the context GUID and the selection GUID because I wanted to make it a selection on this. Yep. And this was all I did. Yeah, and then I had to change the data type because I can only count on numbers. But this was all I did. So I used the query. I put in an additional number. I used the selection GUID and the context GUID, which is offered by ARIS. And this was all done for this table. Also, for reusing, if you have one data feed and if you only have a dashboard with 2 data feeds, then you can reuse this data feed as much as you want. Yeah, so I have also used it for this drop-down box. And as you can see, and then I'm just telling you, filtering is also very easy. You just define a drop-down box, then just tell, okay, I have a column person responsible. This should instantly filter every widget which has a column person responsible, or you can just add additional numbers which should be filtered. And then all dashboards which you put in would all be filtered by this selection. And then, of course, you can just, I'm just surprised that I'm not seeing something, but this is okay. For this, we have this. Then you can, of course, use the same data for a different visualization and just copy and paste this and change the presentation time. But it was always one data feed used for several dashboard widgets. And with this, we have this result. Where is it? Diagram. And this was all it took. It was one data feed, mostly shiny, mostly interactive, mostly tailored to the context, with access rights defined, and with the possibility for actions to define. Actions, if you want to know, are also very easy. If you want to see one, I can show you. So this was the one for informed process owner. You have mostly 2 triggers normally on selection and on click. You just click on call URL, give in the URL, which I normally do while clicking through the tool, I'm taking the URL, which I am, and then I'm just replacing it with parameters, or here I'm just telling you, okay, I want to use the person responsible from this table. And then it's up and running. Yeah. I know that I did the query very, very fast. So normally you have to be a little bit more pay more attention that you're not using identical data column names. So normally I do an abbreviation like WKD for value chain in German or something. So because you have, if you have columns with the same name of different objects, then the data feed cannot use this table. So the column names of the query must be unique. Just because I read it in the chat that this question was raised. Let's see. I think, yeah. So we saw, of course, that the data feed editor. We saw that we can use our existing. We saw how to create a query. That we have to create a dashboard link. Then that it's very easy to mash up data. That you have, by making the start item ID and the database by assigning parameters, it's just working out of the box, and you can build tenants which are available for every model. And then just build the dashboard as funny, as colorful as you want. This was our example. One example for the filtering. Just drag and drop a drop-down box, just define the numbers of columns which should be filtered. And here also one example how to create an action link. Yeah, and then define the right audience. Of course, you can define which user group, which users should see the data. And you can publish wherever it was. This was what I mentioned with you can put it on your home dashboard. So if you have aggregation, aggregated dashboards which are valuable for the whole database, then you put it on the dashboarding homepage, or you can also put them, if you have a context like a model, you can put it on the overview, on the diagram, or on the dashboard tab. But of course, make it context sensitive and so not too much side by side, so that it's easy to understand. And the last thing is sharing is caring. This is also what I always do. So of course you can create dashboards, and if they are published by your administrator, you can share them, and you can link this share then of course in every governance process. So you can analyze, think, and you find something else, and then you can decide if you want to start a governance process, put the link there, start a collaboration to speed up your process transformation project. With this, I would be finished with the live demo. The things I want to repeat is shaping your dashboard use case. No, dashboards are only in the ARIS portal, as I see the question right now. Shaping your dashboarding use case. So define your ARIS specific use case. Yeah, process, risk, organizational, data, customer touchpoint, etc., and KPIs. Everything where you think this would be a benefit, which the process owner, the risk owner, whoever stakeholders you have in your company could benefit of the data. ARIS dashboards are most efficient if the process hierarchy is managed well. You saw that I was drilling down through the levels, different levels of processes. This is only working if you have the assignment really there. If the link is broken, then you cannot drill down, of course. And please do not try to customize the repos, but think of improving the maturity of your ARIS repository. Maybe use a report for creating models which are missing in between, just to link it. And even if it's just a model with one object for the assignment, then it's working. And then you can define a dashboard which is raising all the models which are not maintained correctly. Yeah. Data preparation. You can connect your data via query if it's context sensitive. So if you're on the model, if you're on the model or next to hierarchies, if you want to do bigger dashboards with data of the whole database, please think of reports, how to parameterize them, or fetch data via the API. You can reduce the amount of data using parameters. You should avoid bulk loading of whole tables. So I see a lot of use cases where Excel sheets were used with all the formatting header on something like that, and we just changed to CSV files and the dashboard was speeded up, and dropped not needed columns wherever you can. If you're reusing data feeds and manage the caching of your old data feeds, you will not get any performance issue. And then build your dashboard visualization. Please reuse data feeds as much as you can, and build your pilots based on queries, because then you have your first, maybe on a smaller data set, but that you can have your focus on your use case. Then if it's working, then you can switch to reports, or maybe it's if you have the need of a new real-time dashboard, then make this kind of evaluation as much nailed down to a context, to a model as possible. And for this, I always like some good jokes at the end. So our new dashboard has all the different KPIs we can track on. And then you see here, what's the KPI trending to 0? It measures how well we understand them all. Please don't build dashboards like this. But I believe you won't. And this would be the end. Making ARIS dashboards working for you. So dashboard creation is fast, hoppala. You can focus on your data insights. You can display dashboards alongside your process information. You can make it context-driven analysis. You have an access control, so you can tailor it. You can customize the access rights to ensure security and privacy. You can use also through all of the data sources, also ARIS process mining or other business dashboard tools into the published content of the portal. And you can really define your content navigation to maybe use dashboards as a jumping off point into any part of your repository, bringing your users to the right content the first time.